A comic convention in Topeka.
In the middle of the week?
Girls gotta get her collectibles. Guys, I'm really sorry. As some of you may have noticed, I have static cling today. It's so uncomfortable, and I actually only usually wear t-shirts and like other fabrics that are artificial. So I guess this silk shirt, which I thought was really fancy, and I was like, oh, I'm wearing a silk shirt. Not a good move. And you had a dryer sheet, but you didn't have it.
I ran out yesterday. I had to give one to Wallace Shawn. He needed it. He was a little wrinkled backstage.
Okay. Does anybody else carry dryer sheets? No, he acted like that was a natural thing. See, oh, I have a dryer sheet. Okay.
I've been doing these things for 13 years, and after a while you figure out I need to carry this, need to carry this.
What else do you have in that pack?
I got my laptop, iPad, pain meds, which I didn't have yesterday, bottle of water, lip roller, which ran out yesterday.
Lip roller, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and it works, because apparently after chemotherapy, one of the things that happens is your scalp changes, so I have it for now.
Oh, I have that monthly with my cycle.
Sure.
It's true. Anyway.
First off, welcome back to Dallas. It's always a pleasure to have you
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you so much.
You know that I'm from Austin. I went to UT. And I have to go back to Vancouver for a job, and I'm going to go on set, and they're going to be like, hey, what happened to your voice? That character did not have a voice. It got an accent. So I'm picking up all you guys' accent when I'm talking to you all. Hi, what's up, Canadians? Go up a while.
So, which world city is Vancouver setting in for this time?
Which,
Because- Right.
It's everything, you know, whenever you fly up there, there's 15. The other day I was on with Jughead from Riverdale. And Cole, is that his name? Cole? He's really, really nice. But he was like the biggest celebrity I've ever talked to at the airport. Like, all these moms of teenage daughters are like, woo! And I was like, what is going on with you? He's like, I was on a Disney show, because I don't watch Disney, so I'm like, I just know him as Jughead. I guess he's famous with Disney moms. But anyway, we talked about something about anal fissures or something. It was really weird. I mean, he was talking about poops. I don't know. Guys, I make friends really easily.
Ladies and gentlemen, this panel will be PG-13.
That was a medical term.
Yeah, it wasn't. Oh, yeah, we can get past the censors with that one.
Okay, good.
Yeah, cool. It's so difficult finding an entry point to start talking about it, because you've had so many different realms in fandom that are massively interesting to me. And I want to we'll actually start with Dr. Horrible to begin. And I do want to remind everyone, did we put the mic out? Did we have it? Yeah, okay, so it's right there. If you do have questions for Felicia, I will not hog the conversation. So,
Bless you.
first! So please line up behind first, and we'll call it and so middle of the writer's strike. Everybody's trying to figure out, where we're going to get entertainment from, and streaming video was just in its infancy at that point. So talk to me a little bit about when you got that call from Joss, because I'm making a little flick at that point.
Yeah, I mean, guys, it was 10 years ago this summer. I think right now, 10 years ago, we were shooting the show. And in September, it was September of like the year before, where there was a writer's strike, but all the writers in Hollywood were like, you're giving us a raw deal, we're not gonna write for you for, I think it was 6 months or something like that. And one day on the writer's strike line, there was a Mutant Enemy, Joss Whedon's company, we did a strike day. And I showed up, a lot of actors did, and I was walking next to Joss, and I was like, hey, I had that internet thing, I sent you a bunch of emails, I was really sorry I did that. And I didn't think that he ever would have paid attention to this actress's emails about her web series. And he was like, no, I actually watched it, and I want to do my own internet thing about a musical, about a supervillain. And I'm like, that sounds amazing. And that was the end of it until about February of the next year, I guess it was 2008. And he said, can you sing -J? That was literally the email. And I was like, sweating. And of course you say yes to Joss Whedon, no matter what he asked. If he had said, do you speak Esperanto? I would have been like, Esperanto tutor? But I actually did a lot of singing when I was a teenager. I did a lot of musicals and things when I moved around in community theater. So it all turned out amazing. I'm so happy to be a part of it, and it's crazy. It's been so long. It really feels like just yesterday. And it's one of those things that feels so fresh. Even when you watch it now, it doesn't feel like it was long ago. It's just one of those things that will always live. And so it was one of my favorite things I've ever done.
It was also one of those pieces where I don't think people realize, I mean, Neil Patrick Harris is everywhere now. I think he's actually one of the volunteers. But at that point, he was still making that transition where people say, is that Doogie Howser?
Yeah, I think it was like the first year of How I Met Your Mother or something, before the show took off. Yeah, so he was really making a comeback in a sense, but he's such a good actor, and Nathan is such a good actor, and I was very intimidated on set because I was just this girl who'd done some small parts, and I was on Buffy as well, that working with guys like, oh, that was a good show too, guys. Working with those two guys was very intimidating, and the environment was so welcoming and loving, and it was really like putting on a show. It was literally as if a bunch of you guys just decided to make a movie. That was the spirit on set, even though everyone was like used to working on huge movie sets and huge TV sets. So, and I think really that is where the joy of creating comes from, and I think that's where the best stuff comes from. You don't need to be super, super successful with it. You just need to have that joy behind the camera, and I think you can make something really special.
With the screenings that are held annually for Joss's mother's organization, Quality Out, so you'll see Can't Stop the Serenity screenings. A lot of those screenings actually show Dr. Horrible in its entirety as well. A decade later, where people are singing your songs.
I mean, I didn't write it, but I did sing them.
They would have sounded different if Nathan had sang.
That's true. Nathan has a different kind of voice than me. It would have been weird coming out of my body.
I want to hear it, though. I want to hear it.
I don't know how to do it. Nathan Williams, no. Not good. Anyway, yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool to be a part of something, you know, like that. The Guild, my show, another, you know, like I did that before Dr. Horrible, and even now people are coming up to me and saying how much they love the characters that I created, that they wish I did more with them, which I would love to do one day. I think when you just create something pure from your soul, I think it's universal. Like I said, it doesn't age. But if you try to chase what's out there, like, oh, everybody's doing vampire novels, let's write a vampire novel, you're starting from the wrong place, and that's not something that will last a long time. And I think that's really the lesson that I learned from all the stuff I've made.
You bring up the Guild, which is where a lot of people saw your work for the first time. And if Dr. Horrible was where web video was in its infancy, that I can't even imagine the technological hurdles you had to go.
It was a little egg.
Yeah.
It was the year after YouTube started, almost a year, like less than a year actually, because it started we started uploading in the summer of 2007, and YouTube started in 2006, I think, or something like that. So we just did it on a lark. We had no money. It was hundreds of dollars, and we did it just because I wrote a script that I wanted people to see because I thought it was the best thing I ever wrote or ever made in existence, you know. But you have to be a little delusional to make something because it's really hard. So if you're a little delusional, it's great. If you're a lot delusional, you're my mom. So.
Or my ex-wife.
Yeah, or your ex, I don't know her, but okay. Tell me more.
How about being
Yeah.
The first time you saw someone cosplaying Codex.
It was amazing. It was amazing. It was after the Date My Avatar video because that was what we introduced those costumes, and it was the best. I think it was my best con moment in my life, which I've been doing a lot of cons over 10 years or 11, 12. No, Buffy. Oh my God, let's not talk about years. It was after that, and I will always remember that all of us, the cast did not want to go in costume to the San Diego Comic-Con panel. They were like, no. And I was like, we're going to premiere this video, we're going to be in costume. And Xbox had to rent us a stripper bus. It was like a bus with a hole in it, lasers in it. And it had like lasers on it, and we were all in costume, and I was like, halfway there, I was like, are we doing something stupid? And then we they played the video, and they put us in a really small room because Comic-Con was like, well, you're a web show. And I was like, we're going to fill this web show. There were 1,000 people outside this room waiting to get in the 500-seat room. So from then on, we got a 3,000-seat room and filled it every year, which was pretty cool for somebody made out of a garage, right? Yeah. But we heard the video. radio play, and when I wrote that, I wrote the lyrics, and then Jed wrote the song, and Jed wrote on Dr. Horrible, and when I heard the song, I was like, this is going to be the biggest thing I've ever done. And it turned out, we played it before it was uploaded, and walking in the room in our costumes, I've never felt more like a rock star. And Joss Whedon was singing the front, and I was like sweating, but in a good way, versus the stripper bus way. And it was incredible. And I love that. That is really why I do what I do, versus like just doing only TV, the easier way, because that sort of thing where I get to just toss things out and like have them surprise people, the sort of like Wild West of the web, it really makes me excited. I love doing things people haven't done before, even though it's the hardest way to do it. It gives me that thrill that makes me keep coming back for it.
There's one other thing I want to get to, and that is the amazing program you've got on Geek and Sundry. Phenomenal channel, and if you're not watching the stuff on Geek and Sundry, shame on you, bad 10 points away from Gryffindor for you. On Critical Role.
Is everyone a Gryffindor here?
No. All I just say about is Slytherin or Hufflepuff, I'm telling you right now.
Is Dallas all Hufflepuff?
Yes. Is there any Ravenclaws in here? It's the most vocal I've ever heard Ravenclaw.
My people are Mavens. We got Raven people. Although Huffles, come on Huffles. Gryffindor.
There's like 5 of them.
Because I don't like sports. You guys come here for my stuff. I'm not a sporty person. You throw a ball at me, I'll go like this any day of the week. I have no Gryffindor in me at all. Not sport. Nothing. Okay, Slytherin. Come on. Yeah, there's a few of you.
That was like half of them though, because the rest of them are like, we're Death Eaters.
It's a good even distribution, except for Gryffindor.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I should play volleyball now. Anyway. What did you say?
You don't have to like sports to be a Gryffindor.
Okay, thank you. Correct my cliche. I appreciate it.
My dear friend Sean and Danielle. Oh my God.
Now you're a heckler.
My dear friends Sean and Danielle are massive fans of Critical Role, and they showed me this amazing deck of cards for the various characters that are on Critical Role. And I don't know if we can do a zoom in or not, but this
It's a great Lyra card,
this
yeah.
is your character.
I know, it's so cool. I did not know that until a fan showed me. I thought it was really amazing. They have some really great stuff they do.
Yeah, so that's your character. And here's Will Wheaton. Now,
Oh, wow.
he looks like Jason Momoa.
He does. Except he doesn't have a boombox behind him.
There you go.
Did you see that?
No.
Even in the green room, he has a guy walk with a boombox behind him. And only Jason Momoa can get away with that. Any other person, I'd be like, oh, that guy. And I'd be like, no, it makes sense.
What lessons did you learn in putting the guild out? That you knew that anything you put out on Geek and Sundry, you had to avoid these mistakes, or one specific? Because I mean, I'm sure there's like a lot of hard
There's millions of mistakes I made, especially even after the business. I mean, I'm not really at Geek and Sundry every day to day anymore, because after I had my baby, anybody have a baby here? Boy, they are a lot of work, guys. I did not realize what I was getting into, but that's a typical Felicia Day thing. It's just like, oh, that thing, I'll do it. And I love her, I'm going to raise her well, but I am not playing Fallout 4 anytime soon. I'm not finishing that game ever. And there's a part of me that makes me sad. It's sad. Maybe I'm never sleeping again either, but... Yeah, so I had to decide between the business stuff and the creative stuff, and I really just... I really want to start writing more, and I have like 3 projects I'm working on. I'm doing a lot more acting now. But I'm so proud of what we built there and what they continue to do there. And Critical Role is like the crown jewel of what and everyone told me, don't do Twitch, it's not a success. Don't do D&D, nobody's gonna watch it. And it was because my friend Ashley Johnson was in that group, and I wanted to make a show 2 years before about that group. But it wasn't good for just filming it. It was really perfect for live streaming. And what they've done, and the community they've created with the critters, it's exactly why I started out doing what I do, because the community on the guild, when I just dropped into the chat room on our janky website that I built, seeing those, 100, 200 people makes me so happy. It's why I started a Discord channel a couple months back, because I'm just like, I just want to drop in a channel with fans and talk about like books I want to read and things like that. So that's what I think is different about TV versus web content. There's not a lot of web series anymore because there's not a lot of money there to be made. I couldn't make the guild now, to be honest with you, because nobody wants to make scripted web series anymore. But the other kinds of web content, they really make people congregate around it and know each other as people versus like you're an anonymous fan. And I love that part of it, where it means something to your life versus just consuming it.
You could pitch the guild to Netflix and they'd greenlight it, because they greenlight everything.
Can you come with me? Can you come with me, producer?
Done.
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
Bring your ex-wife. Questions?
There's not even a thing like that. Yes, please go.
Hi, my name is Serenity Clark and I'm 11 years old. Thank you for coming to Dallas. You're my idol. You made it cool to be a girl and a geek, and now I feel for you for what it was like to wear Codex for a day. I was the Codex yesterday. Hi.
Oh, you're Codex. Oh, hi. Hi, Codex.
How are you? My question is, what was it like filming the videos in Codex costume?
Was it filming what?
The videos.
Oh, the videos. I actually filmed it on my birthday. And we literally filmed on my birthday. And, we were on a set that was the cheapest set we could afford. We were on a white site, which is basically where you have white walls everywhere. And you think you just do it as a white wall, but you need like an infinity wall. So it's like curved in order for the film to look cool. And so we found, and it was a place that did naughty adult videos. So I sent a memo out to everybody the day before, do not sit on any of the furniture. That was number one. And number two, it was just, it was so crazy. But when we walked out in those outfits, I felt like a superhero. And I think that's why I wanted to do that. Like, I had been listening to a lot of really bad dance music, and I was like, I want to do a dance song where we're our avatars, because an artist had drawn us as people in our outfits. So I was like, I want to do that. And it was so hard and so expensive to make the costumes and everything. But when we walked out of there, I was like, oh, this is why I want to do this. I wanted to create some superheroes. And it's so wonderful to see people in the costumes. And, I don't know if you guys knew this, but last year when it was the 10th anniversary, the Smithsonian Museum took the Codex staff and the Codex outfit in my season 1 script and put it in their archives as an example of new media. Yeah. I never cleaned that outfit, so my sweat is in the Smithsonian.
Bullet point check.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm a mom, homeschooled nerd too.
Yes, there's a lot of homeschoolers in Dallas. That's so awesome.
Yep.
Yay.
Anyway, how do you think that homeschooling affected you becoming a nerd? Because like with me, it was so much time at home reading books and just endless books.
Yeah, I think that was the same thing. Like, I read a lot of books, and I just gravitated toward like mystery, noir detective series, and I gravitated toward dragons. And I think a lot of times, especially for girls, if you express an interest in something that's not mainstream, you're shunned for it. And it's just a weird human instinct of children to sort of shame you if you're different. And it's not just something that, I don't know, it seems ingrained maybe in who we are as people, or maybe it's something we learn to sort of reject what's different. But I think, that's the thing that I feel like I grew up and I got old enough to not be ashamed of who I am. And then when I went out to college, college you're accepted for who you are a little bit more because you kind of tailor it. And in the real world, I was just weird, but I was okay with being weird. And I think a lot of times, a lot of us grew up not being okay with being weird or different or liking something that's not mainstream. And the saddest thing to me is when someone abandons something that is part of who they are or is something they're really passionate about because other people make them feel bad about it or shame them or tell them you shouldn't do that, so you close the door even though it might be your calling in life. So that's really kind of a really big theme of what I do in everything I do. I want everyone to be who they are because no one else is you. And if you let a whole lifetime go by and not do that thing that you wanted to do or make that thing that you wanted to make or even had that hobby that you really wanted to be passionate about and show other people about, you're taking yourself from the world because nobody else is going to be that person who does that. So it's almost your obligation to be weird. And I think homeschooling really allowed me to do that because I think especially in school, kids, can be cruel and bully. And I think it's another thing I usually do with my charities for anti-bullying because no kid should ever feel ashamed of who they are. Woo!
There's another bit of that in the creation thing as well. We're at a point right now where the technology is available, and you know this better than just about anybody. The technology is available now that if you've got the project and you've got just like under $2,000, you can make a full-length theatrical release feature film if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So get out there and create, make your stuff, get it out in the world.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think, I think a lot of people don't create because it's very scary. And you should know that anybody who creates, whether it's Joss Whedon or me or any famous person or Van Gogh, like nobody's like, oh, this is easy. Nobody's just making it. There could be that spontaneous thing that comes out once in a while, but it's work. It's a lot of work and a lot of extremely brave work. And you have to be doing it for the right reason. You can't be doing it because I want to be famous or rich or I want people to know me or admire what I wear and I want to have a poster. I want to have a keychain with my face on it. Those are not, you can make one on Etsy, by the way. If you really buy one. But creating is to create and be able to persevere through the scary parts, you really have to be saying something that's very unique to yourself and something you have to say, whether the result is something that benefits you or not. And that's what I really tell people. They're like, what's your best advice for creating? It has to be something that's part of your heart, and you have to say no matter if nobody sees it or not. And that will get you through all the stuff where you're like, oh, I don't know what to do here. Well, I still have to go on because I have to make this. That's what I do with the Guild. It took a year to write that thing, and I would abandon it all the time and just play WoW, which was awesome. It was really fun, and I was a really good warlock and priest and several other alts, but I really, at a certain point, I was like, you've got to write this or you'll never do it, and you're going to be ashamed of yourself. So I kind of guilted myself into it. If that gets you through, that's what you have to do.
Hello, my name is also Felicia. Nice to meet you. My question.
There's so few of us, we should have a club.
Mine is actually spelled the same way as yours, so, congrats on that. My question is actually a little bit more personal. How often do you get by Felicia? And how do you deal with it? What is your response?
We really need a support group here. I got one yesterday, but it was a teenage boy, and I was like, ugh, boys. Just kidding. I get it a lot. I get it at least twice a week, and then sometimes on Twitter once a day, but I love those people. It's fine. It's like, at least I wasn't Katrina and there was a hurricane. That's what I say to myself. It could be worse, but it's not great.
Do you say anything back to them? Like, do you?
I say, wow, I've never heard that before. Or, what? I don't get it. Those even wear thin. Because it happens so often. Anyway, let's do a Facebook group. Felicia, by Felicia not. That's not it.
Hello, Felicia.
No, there's a shirt.
Dadgummit. Ain't nothing left on the internet anymore.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you clip the mouse a little harder when you're blocking people? Just like that little...
I don't block people because I mute them. Because I found that when I block people, I would check their timeline later because I'm obsessive compulsive a little bit. And I would see that I really got under her skin, I blocked her. They like it. They actually go out of their way to troll you so they can say, I got blocked. Which is the saddest thing in the world. If you think about a person behind a computer trying to just be blocked by people, and that's kind of what they're bragging about, is an accomplishment in their life. But they do it. So then I was like, what can I do to deprive that person of that? And I do that.
There's only one person I want to block me, and he lives in Washington, D.C. Right over here.
Hi.
Looking at it.
Hello, Ravenclaw. I've been homeschooled my whole life, and my mom has homeschooled me and my 8 siblings our whole lives.
Wow, that's awesome.
And you're like one of my biggest idols, and I was wondering, like, you're starting out homeschooling, and you work with like really big companies right now, like Rooster Teeth, Geek and Sundry, and you've been in like like supernatural and stuff. So I was wondering if you have any advice for like people that want to start out in film and like just to get themselves out there and like get opportunities.
Yeah, that's a good question. If you want to be in the film business, there's a lot of ways. What are you interested in doing, or you don't know, you just want to be in the film industry?
Like I want to try to be filming, like write stuff and like produce and stuff, and like acting a little bit, like a lot of what we can do.
You want to do a little bit of everything. Well, the
Yeah.
good thing is that you can do that from your home with an iPhone and one good microphone, you know? And that's what's great about the world now. And the great thing is, as well, you can learn a lot. They have a lot of online courses where you can learn some basic things. But my best advice to you is you just should be on sets, learning how a film set works. And you should volunteer for anything. Go to community colleges and see if somebody needs an intern. Look and see if they need PAs in local Dallas shoots, or Austin has a lot of filming, you know? Maybe that's a place for you. And if you want to be a writer, what I would do is outline scripts. Watch a TV show and like outline them, you know, see the first act, like what they do in the first act, and like beat by beat. Take a couple of like screenwriting courses online and then get the nomenclature down, and then just outline the kind of stuff you want to do. Do you want to write sitcoms? Do you want to write a horror film? Like, get the outline done and understand the structure of how it's put together as a writer, and then just watch like 12 of them. And you'll notice a pattern as you go through. It's a 3-act structure. And this happens at the end of the first act. This happens in the second act. You know, the character arcs, there's a lot of commonality in it. And it's really almost formulaic, but the great thing about the formula is that you can be very inventive among that. So, I would start with online courses or like community courses, or if you could, and do as much volunteering, even if it's just taking out the trash. Being on a set is the best way to learn how a film set works.
Okay, thank you
good
so
luck
much.
with it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Are you local, by the way?
Yes.
Okay. In Oak Cliff, there's a facility called the Texas Theater, Historic Film Theater. There's also, at any given point, about 6 to 12 local filmmakers who are there, that either own the theater or they're regulars there. And there's actually a really great film scene here in town. There's a lot of different sets where you'll wind up doing 5 things saying, hey, I'm willing to do this. If you put the time in for it, get involved with that community because it gives you so much back.
Yeah, it's great. That's fantastic. Literally local, don't just move to LA. I did that. It takes a while to get off the ground. If you can get local experience, you're going to be so much better than anybody else who just gets on the bus and goes to LA. So.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Next question. Give her some applause.
Hi, I rented Dr. Horrible on Netflix, and my daughter said, "What? You rented DVDs?" But anyway, and when I was explaining to them, you know, that they came with me this weekend, and I was explaining to them about your career and everything, and I said Dr. Horrible and all the other things, and then I said, I just mentioned that you were Charlie on Supernatural. They started hyperventilating. I was really just going to say thank you for making it cool to be a nerd. And
thank
for
you.
girls to be a nerd, because they both are. And they would be in here and they would be hyperventilating just to be in the same room with you.
Well, thank you for being a cool dad. Every time I see somebody who comes by my table or takes a picture and they have their kid with them, especially if it's a dad with girls, I'm like, thank you for being an awesome dad who is willing to really put the effort into allowing them to be themselves. Because especially girls, like I said, they're really discouraged from being as nerdy. Although, you know, nowadays it's a little bit more accepted. But you still have to have your parents there supporting your choices in life, no matter who it is, you know, allowing you to be yourself as you grow up. And I realize that more as a parent. There's nothing worse than not being able to nurture your kid and let them be who they are inside, even if it's nothing. I mean, if Calliope became a soccer person, I would be so disappointed. A little bit, but I would go to every soccer game because, you know, that's who she is. God forbid she likes that. I'll be there. Anyway.
Well, they saw you, as they got their photo taken with you yesterday, and then they saw you as you were leaving. I remember that you walked through the curtain and they saw you and they just
Oh, that's so sweet.
and then they had to call their mom and said,
Well, I think Charlie is, you're welcome. Charlie especially, I think, is a real representative of a lot of people, a lot of ladies and women and girls at this con. And she was so beautifully written, and I was so privileged to play her. So that's really sweet. Thank you.
Hi, I just want to tell you you're amazing.
Thank you. I still, again, love your outfit. She's dressed as Holly from Eureka, you guys.
Thank you. I want to know if you could be any of your characters in real life, who would you be?
What? That's such a good question. I mean, I guess it has to be Charlie. Because I think we'll get along really, really well. And she might have a crush on me. That's weird.
Narcissistic at all.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Now that I think it through, guys.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, my name is Jocelyn. I'm a huge fan of Critical Role and all the other like alpha projects and everything. And so thank you for that. First
Thank
of all.
you.
But my question is actually about the magicians, because
Oh, yes.
you were just on the season of that, and so I just wanted to know what were some of your favorite moments for being on that set. And
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is such a cool, I mean, I was a fan of the show before, and I was actually a fan of the books. It's a weird, okay, like 9 years ago, Lev Grossman, the author of The Magicians, interviewed me for Time Magazine, he was a journalist, about the Guild. And then at the end of the interview, he was like, hey, I just wrote a novel, and the novel's name is Codex. It was a total coincidence. So then, cut to a couple of years later, he had written Magicians, and he sent me a copy, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then it turned into a TV show, and Sarah Gamble is one of the showrunners, and she was the showrunner on the year that Charlie came on Supernatural. So I was a huge fan of the show, and I was working with Sci-Fi this last fall, and they were like, hey, we'd love for you to be on our shows. What would do you have a preference? And I was like, well, magicians. I didn't think it was gonna happen. And they were like, we just started filming, we have a perfect role for you. So it was like this amazing kismet experience where I got to be on the show. And I guess my favorite parts were working with Jason Ralph, who plays Quentin, because he's such a good actor. He's a theater actor from New York. He's very, very serious about his craft. He does not appreciate a fart joke as much as I do sometimes. But he really, he brings out a better actor in me than even, when you work with great people, they bring out the best in you. And I feel like he brought out the best in me as an actor. And I felt like I grew working with him. And the sets there are amazing. You walk on the set and you are on a ship. Like, the quality of the sets are some of the best sets I've ever seen on any show that I've been on. And I'm just hoping next season Poppy gets to return, because I love playing her. She's not really my standard character. She's not that likable, and she's got an edge to her. She's definitely chaotic neutral to chaotic evil. And I like it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. As a fellow creator myself, I know that there's one specific moment that you have before you start creating where you're like, man, I'm really gonna do this. And for me, that was at a fast food restaurant. So I was just wondering, did you ever have a specific moment where you were like, man, I'm really gonna start creating?
Wow, I mean, I had so many times that I wanted to start creating. If you guys read my book, you realize there's several chapters in it where I just couldn't start. And I really, I don't know if it was because I was homeschooled or just my personality, but I had to have a creative work group around me to be able to start, because I would always want to start, and I was afraid. I had a lot of perfectionism issues, and I was very anxious. And whenever I'd start, I wanted it to be perfect the minute I put it on the page. And with creating something, you can't do that. You're never going to be perfect. If you're perfect, you're boring. And you always have to be willing to just get to the end and then go back and rewrite, or re-sculpt, or redraw. And that's something I didn't appreciate as a person, or I wasn't brave enough to do, until I started having a weekly group with 4 or 5 other women, and we'd report on what we did, and every week I'd show up and I said I leveled my warlock, and they would what's your problem? And eventually I felt so shamed and guilty that it overcame my fear and anxiety. So, I was basically motivated to create out of I got more negative emotions to overcome other negative emotions. But honestly, it's however you get there. It's not easy. And hopefully you can operate in a more functional way. But listen, at the end of the day, you just got to get it down and get it out of you. Or you're just not making room for more to come behind it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi. My name's Ona, and obviously you've done a lot of really fun projects with really quirky people. So what's the craziest thing that's ever happened on a set?
Oh boy, what's the craziest? I'm trying to think crazy. Like, there was one extra on Dr. Horrible who started arguing with Joss because he was insistent that he was closing the laundromat door on time, but he wasn't. But then we forgave him because during lunch he taught us the Superman dance. So that's probably my favorite Dr. Horrible moment, and maybe the craziest thing, because you probably shouldn't argue with the director. Like, on a normal set, he would have been probably kicked off. But on Dr. Horrible, it's like, okay, that guy's weird. But he's teaching us the Superman dance. So there you go. It's old.
Does footage exist of the cast doing the
No,
small boy
I
dance?
mean, Marissa, I think, filmed it, so it may be a private video still. I wish I could dig it up for the 10th anniversary. That'd be pretty funny. We did it, I promise. Even Nathan.
Especially
Is she Griff? Oh, she's a Gryffindor, guys. And she's not good at sports. Yeah.
No.
Did you turn it off? You might have accidentally turned it off.
This is like the third mic I've broken, I swear.
I'm sensing a bad trend.
No, I should not be allowed to use any mics.
But that's after the fact. I think you did break it, but that's okay. I forgive you. No, it's okay. You're a good human being.
The question is, what's your favorite episode of Eureka?
Oh, wow, thank you. Wow. That was really, I mean, I like the one we were all caught in a capsule, and Will Wheaton farted in there. No, okay, wait. This is a real true story. Neil Grayson, who played my love interest, Will Wheaton was there, Eureka and Niall. And it was a small set. Like, usually you're on a big set and they make it look small. No, this was a really small set because they built it accidentally too small or something. And so we were stuck in there for 14 hours a day. And there was broccoli for lunch. And Neil cropped us in the room. And one of the camera, and then Will was like, okay, I'll join in. And then we had to all get off set because one of the 8 camera operators almost threw up. I also like the writing on that episode too.
Just put an asterisk in anything else.
It's true.
I have my own question. I'm currently a sophomore in high school, so I'm looking at different colleges in the area to go to, specifically for film. So I found UTA, which you went to. So I was wondering, what advice do you have for going to college and kind of opening that chapter of your life?
Oh wow. I think in college you should experiment with everything. Okay, not...
Hey, Mom.
You should experiment with any subject you're interested in as far as an academic situation. Because honestly, this is the time where you can take a class in folklore and not be punished for it, you know? Like, because a lot of the times we're set on a path and we feel like we have to have that path, but we never get the flexibility to discover who we are as people. And as a college student, it's probably the first time you're away from your parents and out of the environment of your high school, which is very much locking you into who you used to be as a kid. And to me, the beauty of being a human is you're always constantly growing and evolving, and there's a lot to discover inside you that you never knew. You're your best research project. And so your job is to find out what sparks your interest, what makes you passionate, what do you want to say in this world, what is unique about your journey through life that you want to express, and how can you express that? Is it through writing history? Is it through studying archaeology? Is it through making, commercials? Like, you never know. And so if there's something that interests you, even if you're not taking a class in it, go and do something about it. Because those are years that you're insulated, and you can't appreciate those years enough. So just try everything and get decent enough grades so that your parents will get mad at you.
And you, Green Lantern, had the last question. Make it a good one.
Oh, sorry everybody else on the floor. Sorry, floor people.
Hi, so I was curious about your experience with Dragon Age.
Around what? Oh, Dragon Age. Yeah, there's a lot of Dragon Age people here. I wrote a web series for Dragon Age. I created a character, Talus, and it was the first time I think they haven't done it since. We did a web series and we took the character that I created and they wrote a whole DLC around her. And I did all the motion capture and everything for that. And It was an amazing experience. We didn't have nearly enough money to really do it properly, to be honest with you. I had to pay, go in my own pocket even to finish it. But so it was an ambitious project, and it kind of taught me, especially if you're on web video terms, to be realistic about what you can actually accomplish, because it's better to do half of what you do and do it 100% than do everything 70%. Although I'm really proud of what we did. It's just coming from a low-budget filmmaking thing and trying to create a whole new world, it just costs a lot more than you would expect. So the people who worked on that did such an amazing job to make it look realistic. And I just loved it. I love fantasy. I love being in a world, and being an elf is like the best. Guys, we should all be elves. I can't wait for AR glasses that just makes me make all of you elves. Everyone's gonna be an elf. Pointy ears, glow in the face. We all have like, that selfie filter where we all look smooth and like shiny eyes and like, hey, what's up? Anyway.
Jason Momoa as an elf.
Yeah. He'd have like somebody like on a loop behind him. That's fine, it's Jason Momoa. Anybody else?
So many irons in the fire for you. Is there something that's coming up that you're in either pre-production or production for that we should be looking out for coming up?
Oh yeah, well I'm shooting something now that's new, but I can't say anything about it. Mystery Science Theater is going to come out with a new season. Pretty excited. I can't say anything more about it, but the movies are crazy.
The last 3 minutes of that show, I have questions.
You have questions?
We all have questions.
What are they?
Jonah.
He's a person.
He's dead.
We don't know.
Don't we?
I don't know.
Okay.
Do you? That's it.
No, I mean not about him.
Oh, as far as my project?
Yes.
I think I'm going to start a podcast, just me talking every week. It might not be interesting, but if you want, go to soundcloud.com/Felicia Day and follow. I'm going to start it maybe this weekend, maybe next. And then I have 4 writing projects that are in various stages of things I can't talk about, but I'm so super excited about it. So the whole thing of me taking more time to create my own stuff is making me really happy, and I'm very excited for you guys to see it either later this year or early next. So thank you. Thank you for the support, and thank you just for being a part of this world. The stronger we are together, the more people won't make us ashamed to roll 20-sided dice.